Hey everybody, Canadian Operator here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Ruger 1022. This is honestly a awesome little rifle, and I can't wait to tell you about it. I've had my PAL, or my Possession and Acquisition License, which is the license that you are required to have with some training and getting vetted through the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That's our federal police service. That is what you're required to have in order to be able to acquire and possess these firearms, including ammunition. And so I've had my license for about a year or so, maybe a year and a half, and this is now my 6th gun. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because a lot of people will look at this and they'll be like, wow, this is a very entry-level gun. Why in the world would you want this as a veteran shooter, as somebody that's been around for a very long time? Isn't this just for new people? And the answer to that question is no. So a little bit of history on the Ruger 1022, not specifically this one, but the platform in general has been around since 1964. That's a very long time to be around, and there is a lot of purpose and a lot of reason as to why these things have been so popular. In fact, they've sold over 7 million of these, and I know I sound like an infomercial salesperson here, but honestly, again, a very good reason why. These are extremely inexpensive, especially if you get them in the non-takedown version. So basically just the full stocked ones that you can't kind of break down into halves as the Magpul X22 Hunter Backpacker or whatever you want to call it does. And they do have some standard non-Magpul ones that do as well, where basically this part of the barrel and the stock literally just rotate and come off, and you can store that in a backpack. So they've been exceptionally popular, and they've been in firearms history for a very long time. They're light, they're inexpensive, they're fairly accurate, as you'll see later on with some of the footage from the range. And honestly, you can just kind of take them anywhere, and this is what's made them a staple of any firearms owner. So don't beat yourself up about it. If you're brand new in the firearms community and you want to start with a 22 long rifle, hey man, this is your gun. If you've been around and you've got about 60 guns in your closet and you're looking for a nice little 22 to enjoy, then hey, this could be your gun too. It's one of those things that I think everybody could find a way to enjoy, and that's honestly what makes it really nice. So let's go ahead and get started with the features. Now, before we do that, of course, there is an empty chamber. I hope you can see that right there. And we have no magazine inside, as we've already cleared this. And any direction that I'm going to be pointing the firearm today is a safe direction, as I'm home and there's nobody else here today. So let's go ahead and get started with the back. And this is probably going to be the least desirable part of this, and part of the reason, honestly, why it's so inexpensive. And again, fellas, this is a wife-friendly channel, so we're not going to be talking about price here, but I'm sure with a little bit of research you could find out exactly how much these things go for. Now, being a 1022, these things also do come in a variety of different finishes. You have the stainless barrel here, you have blued barrels, you have synthetic stocks, you have wood stocks, you have laminate stocks, you have takedown and non-takedown models. There is a cornucopia, big word alert, of different rifles that are available based on what you want. So starting at the back of the rifle here, we've got the buttstock, and guys, unfortunately, this one's just plastic, which kind of sucks. It's not totally horrible if we just try to maybe shoulder this up. It does feel fairly nice in the shoulder, and you can get a pretty accurate sight picture fairly quickly. We do have a little bit of texture here on the back. In fact, there's quite a bit of texture there with a little Ruger logo right in the middle. And unfortunately, this is not any kind of recoil absorption material, because you know you're going to need that in a 22 long rifle. And you know what, that's fine. But again, at the price point, you can't really complain. I do wish that we had just a little tiny bit of rubber or something like that on there. I think that would definitely feel nice. But again, I understand why they didn't do it. Now, the rest of the stock, as I mentioned, is going to be plastic or polymer, and that's going to be all the way down, pretty much down the entire length of the stock, as you can see there. One of the things that is nice to have, of course, is there's a little bit of checkering here. Now, this is going to be good for grip. There's a 2-panel checker on the foregrip here, so you've got one there, and then you've got one there as well. And to be honest, this just feels a lot nicer on a wooden stock, but it is nice that they included it on the polymer one there, especially if you're wearing gloves or something like that and you're outside, maybe it's raining or whatever. This is definitely nice to be able to get a better grip. Now, speaking of outside and rain, if you're going outside and you're going to be using this in any kind of adverse weather, rain, snow, anything like that, the stainless is definitely a great option to go with because it's going to give you a little bit more protection against the elements. And I could say the same thing for the plastic or the polymer stock, which again, you know, with wood, you have things like warping and changes based on humidity and stuff like that. That's not something you really have to worry about in a plastic or polymer stock. So if you're going to be taking this thing out a lot and using and abusing it, then, you know, going with a stainless in a polymer stock like this is probably a good idea. Now moving forward, as I mentioned, we have our little bolt here, and just under here, I'm not sure if you're able to see that, right here, we have our bolt hold open, and then we have the magazine release lever right here that just goes forward like that. We have a trigger here, and the trigger is about a 5-pound trigger. I did a little bit of testing not too long ago. I'll see if I can throw that up on the screen if I have it. I know I did a trigger pull with this, and it was about 5 pounds. Or in some cases it was like 4 pounds and 11.5 ounces or something like that. So roughly about a 5-pound trigger, which is not too bad. I'll demonstrate that for you now. Again, we don't have any ammunition there. This is all clear. So to have the bolt come forward, all you do is you hold the bolt back, you push that little bolt hold open button upwards, and then you simply just drop the bolt forward. And if you've got a magazine there with a round in it, it'll chamber that, and of course having pulled it back prior to that would have cocked the action. So if we aim in a safe direction, which again is pretty much anywhere, put our finger, there's a little bit of take up. I'm not sure if you're able to see that. There's a little bit of squishiness. You hit a wall and then you pull, and about 5 pounds later you get that break, and you do have a little bit of a wall on the back. And you're not going to be able to tell by just dry firing it, which you should never do on a 22 long rifle, by the way. I'm just doing that to demonstrate for you. And we'll get into that in perhaps another video. But you'll notice that there is definitely a reset, but when you have the magazine inside and you have ammo loaded up, you will feel a little bit of a reset, maybe about 1 or 2 millimeters up from the wall of the trigger. And honestly, for this price point, again, I can't really complain. I think it feels just fine. You can replace this, of course, like we've been talking about. This is a Ruger 1022. It's probably one of the most upgradable rifles on the market, and so as a result of that, you're able to basically upgrade anything you want. If the bolt handle is too short for you, like it is for me, you can upgrade that. If you don't like the bolt, you can upgrade that. You can upgrade the trigger, you can change the barrel, you can change out the stock, you can put all sorts of stuff on top of it. And that leads me to my next point, which is that I'm not sure if you're able to see that very well right there, but we've got a nice little weaver rail up here, and that does come with the rifle. There are, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that very well. See if I can hold that up to the light, maybe on this side, so you guys might be able to see that. There are some notches in the weaver rail that it comes with. And if you get rings that support that, then you're going to be able to get a lot of the benefit that you would get from a Picatinny rail, where as long as you tighten your rings down forward as possible inside the actual little notches on the rail, then you're going to basically save yourself against the massive recoil that this thing is going to give you. I'm kidding. You're not really going to have to worry about that, even if you are using a different weaver mount or weaver rail for your scope. It's not something you're going to have to worry about because, honestly, there's just not a whole lot of recoil for 22 LRs, but them giving you one that's milled out of aluminum and it's pretty decent quality, honestly, is really great, especially for the price, and being able to put an optic on that right away with just getting the optic in a set of rings is really nice and convenient as well. We do have some sights on this thing as well. We have a sight over here. I'm not sure if you're able to see that. This does flip up. There we go. It takes a little doing. So if you don't have an optic on this, you do have a little flip up sight, which you can see just right there. And that does flip again. You can flip that forward or backward. And then you've got just a nice little post down here. So there you go. And honestly, I wouldn't trust that anywhere beyond maybe 50 yards or 50 meters or so. But then again, I'm probably not going to even see the target at that range. So everybody's going to be a little different. But that's why I've got a big honkin' 2-7x32 scope on here, which By the way, again, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I'm happy to do a video for that if that's something that you'd like to see in the future. I know I mentioned the checkering here on the fore end. We do also have some checkering right here on the foregrip, or the pistol grip. And honestly, that feels quite nice. It's a little bit too rounded for my liking. I prefer a slightly straighter pistol grip myself, but again, this is the magic of 1022s. You can upgrade these things and change the stock out to just about anything that you want. And so for that reason, I'm not really gonna knock any points off of this thing here, because you can just totally upgrade this anytime you want. Now, other than that, this is fairly easy to take down. We've got really just 2 steps here, or 3. You've got a little takedown screw. I'm not sure if you're able to see that right there. So that little takedown screw is what you need. And then you've got the barrel band just right there. You've got a little nut down here. You can just undo that, take the barrel band off, which is of course also polymer, and that will allow you to take the entire barreled action away from the receiver, or rather from the polymer stock, and then you're able to, you know, do some deep down cleaning. If you haven't done that for a little while, you can maintain it, you can do whatever you need to do, or you can simply just, you know, in the process of upgrading your stock, as we talked about. So other than that, let's go ahead and go to the range for a bit there and see how it does, and then I'll meet you right back here to talk about the results. All right, everybody, so we are back from the range, and honestly, I'm really surprised. This thing is very, very accurate for the cost. Again, we're not gonna talk about the numbers. I'm sure you can look that up, but for the price that you pay for this little Ruger 1022, it's very accurate. Now, it's not gonna be as accurate as my CZ455, which is a bolt action 22 long rifle, but it is pretty damn close. And let me show you exactly how close it was. Before I show you the target though, I wanna show you the ammunition that I was shooting, and it was this LA Match. Now, this is arguably a fairly expensive ammunition. This in particular is produced in Britain, if I'm not mistaken. Please do correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. But it's a match grade ammunition, which of course is going to be more expensive than anything else. Generally speaking, I like to shoot Blazer from, I believe it's CCI, which is just a 40 grain projectile, lead round nose. I shoot Norma TAC 22 and a couple of other brands here and there, pretty much whatever I can get my hands on these days. But this LA ammo, guys, I gotta tell you, it's chef's kiss, it's next level. And let me show you what I mean, because, oh my goodness, it's really good. So, we got a little target here. Now, this is gonna be a 25-meter target. As you guys can probably see, there just says qualification target. I don't know if there's really a standard to all this, but I'm sure they've measured this out and made it the appropriate size for 25 meters. For our American friends, 25 meters, I'd say it's probably about 27, 28 yards. I could be wrong. Again, if you know the exact number and you're better at math than I am, then definitely plug that into the comments. But as you can see there, we've got a really nice little spread, and that's really not too far. Just to give you kind of an example, I'll just kind of put my finger on there, and I mean, I'm able to cover that up with just the pad of my index finger, which really goes to show you just how small of a group that was. Now, for those of you guys who like to go by the numbers, that was approximately 1.5 centimeters, or about 9/16 of an inch. I hope you like that I'm providing both imperial and metric numbers there, because I am terrible at math and it took me forever to figure that out. So it's a really, really tiny little pattern, and I only shot 5 rounds. I also shot a separate video, which I'm going to be putting up probably sometime next week, which compares a bunch of different ammo, including LA Sport. We even shot some Norma Eco Speed, which is a lead-free round. Tito came to say hello. And we also shot a few different ones here. If Tito will get out of my way for a minute. We shot the Hornady. This is, I Again, another little 22 lead round nose. I believe that's a 40 grain, and then just some regular old Norma TAC 22. So if you want to see that video, definitely stick around. I have groups for all of those, and we're going to be comparing all of them in next week's video. But in the meantime, I hope that you guys enjoyed this and found this review helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and either myself or a member of our community will answer them hopefully for you. And that's one of the wonderful things about here, you know, this platform, is that we can share this information and help each other out. So that being said, I'm very, very excited. Would I recommend it? Absolutely I would. It's very inexpensive. It's very light. You can take it anywhere, put it anywhere you want. You can leave it in your truck. You can take it to the range. You can go plinking with it. You can go and hunt squirrels and rabbit with it and a bunch of other things in between. So if you've got the money, which honestly, it's not a lot for one of these, then I urge you to pick one up. And that's whether you're a beginner, whether you've been around the block, or anywhere in between. Everybody needs a good 22, and this one's one of my favorites. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I hope to see you in the next video.